On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City.
I need you all to pay close attention how Mayor Mamdani is very direct when he talks about Jake Lang, the protests that he was involved in, how he describes Jake Lang as being a bigot, and his protest was rooted in white supremacy. Pay attention to the words that he carefully chooses. And then I want you to pay attention to the words that he carefully chooses to describe the terrorists.
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home. While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone. I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things that I abhor. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence, whether from protests or counter-protests. Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few did not. Two men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism. There is video of these two individuals throwing two devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that these were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim, or worse. Thanks to the swift and decisive actions of NYPD officers at the scene, both men were immediately taken into custody.
Both men were immediately taken into custody. Now he says they brought devices from Pennsylvania, and yet he calls them men. He doesn't say both Islamic terrorists. You can't miss this. You cannot miss this. Because if this was anyone else, he would call it out just like he calling out Jake Lang. Why is Mayor Mamdani not calling out these two young men for who they are? They travel from one city to another, bringing with them improvised explosive devices. In other words, IEDs that were meant to maim, injure, harm, and possibly kill. And yet he still is holding these guys in some type of high esteem, withholding saying what he should or defining them as he should as Islamic terrorists.
Both men were immediately taken into custody, and the devices they brought taken off of our streets. I want to commend the officers who were on site. They faced a chaotic situation that very quickly could have become far more dangerous. NYPD Chief Aaron Edwards and Sergeant Luis Navarro ran towards the danger so that others could run to safety. They are here with us now, and I want to thank them today publicly as I did yesterday privately, and to thank the dozens of other officers who responded without hesitation. That is courage, that is selflessness, and I'm deeply grateful to both of them and to every member of the NYPD who works every single day to keep New Yorkers safe.
First of all the places that this protest took place, this anti-Muslim protest in New York, think about the city of New York. They hold the protest right around the corner from the mayor's mansion. Think about that. And of course, he and his wife are not at home. Duh. Come on now. I'm not saying that he knew or had some idea that the protest would be on his street. Now, as I showed you in another video, as long as you stay on the sidewalk and not blocking traffic, you do not have to turn in a permit. You do not have to submit a permit. So, as long as this protest was on the sidewalk, which it was, they didn't need a permit. So, in a sense, they didn't have to give anyone forewarning that they were going to be on the street. But ironically, the police were in the area. We're not going to get into the aspects of that. And I want you to think about something else. There's another finesse. There's another twist to this plot. Remember this.
Thank you for taking my question.
Yes.
What is your reaction to the downgraded charge for the suspect arrested in the snowball pelting? And what do you say to police officers who are very upset about that and very upset about the incident?
You know, I will say first and foremost that I believe that our police officers should be treated with respect. They are at the heart of delivering exactly that public safety that I was speaking about earlier. And they've also been at the heart of responding to the city's first blizzard since 2016.
You see, the good mayor is also using this moment with these terrorists, Islamic terrorists, as a PR move to reinvigorate morale and respect for his police. You know, with this incident here that I just showed you, he dumped on NYPD. He dumped on NYPD. Not only the mayor, but Alvin Bragg, the DA. We all watch, what is that? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, we all know how the police and the courts system and the lawyers and the DA, we all know how they work in tandem to bring about justice to the American people, or at least ideally, that's how it's supposed to work. Okay? We all know how that works. But he dumped on them during this incident. Remember, it was just a snowball fight.
It's a snowball fight that got out of hand, and I don't really have much more to say to it. As the NYPD continued their investigation yesterday, they found a third suspicious device in a vehicle on East End between 81st and 82nd Street. Out of an abundance of caution, they conducted a number of limited evacuations of nearby buildings before removing the device from the area. Once the device was removed, those evacuated were allowed to return to their homes. I am grateful for their continued work to keep New Yorkers safe. And let me say this plainly. Anyone who comes to New York City to bring violence to our streets will be held accountable in accordance with the law. It's a snowball fight that got out of hand, and I don't really have much more to say to it.
The good mayor appears to be engaging in a PR move with his police force. He didn't look good during that "it's just a snowball fight" that got out of hand nonsense. And I'm sure the media is covering for him like they do for all Democrats. But behind the scenes, he's taking a hit for that "it's just a snowball fight" because basically you humiliated NYPD with that. And then Alvin Bragg tops it off with letting this clown go. Now, I don't know what type of punishment that he deserved for something like that. I'm not saying anything extreme. This generation is mind-boggling. From Minnesota to this foolishness in New York, when did people start thinking it's okay to get in any type of confrontation with law enforcement? What is wrong with this generation? You people are nuts. Do you all even think before y'all act anymore? Do you all even have the capacity to think before you act? Or you just do and live with the consequences? You people are nuts, guys. Think about what you're doing before you do it. Don't be the next crash test dummy for the Democratic Party.
It's a snowball fight that got out of hand, and I don't really have much more to say to it.